Okay, welcome, beautiful one. So, today I am dropping this podcast to firstly announce that it's getting a brand new name, as you might have seen from the social media posts. So, we are moving from the Soul Led Starseed to the Diary of a Dragon Priestess. And I am going to be sharing some of my own personal experiences here, some information about working with the dragons, some meditations with them, etc. So, yeah, things are changing here in this space. And I am in a personal year one. So shit's definitely changing here. And my card this year was also the devil card. So for me, the devil card is about unchaining from the old ways of being. And I think that is really what is happening here. And I'm also just going to blame my friend Charlie from Project Earthwork because she kind of started this, and in her magical way, as she does when she when she drops those little truth bombs, you go boof. And I had the pleasure of her visiting in April this year, basically calling me out and asking me why I never speak about the dragons, because she's known me ever since, I've been working with the dragons, and I've been doing it for many, many years, and I just never spoke about it in public. It was just one of those things like, yes, I'm a dragon priestess, and boom, that's it, basically, right? I think I've done like maybe one or two podcasts about it, but like never really gone into the nuts and bolts of it. And that interaction with Charlie then inspired me to create what I called the Dragon Course. And I launched that in May, and it has been a phenomenal experience. And it's been so beautiful taking people through the elemental dragon journeys. And yeah, it's really, really changed things for me. And it's also shown me how I have been hiding my magic. It's just like, because this is the shit I'm good at, right? When you realize that your activations and your work actually like changes things for people in that way, I guess it's time to just own it, right? And that is what this podcast is. It is basically a first step in me reclaiming this energy and putting it out there in public. So that is the whole point here. So today I am going to be calling this episode Return of the Dragon Priestess, because I wanted to share a story with you guys about how she has come back in the last week. And I mean, don't get me wrong, I've been working on this shit for quite a few months now, right? Like, there's been a lot of layers to unravel. There has been a lot of me really looking at myself honestly and going, what is it that I want to share with the world? And if you've been following my podcast, you would have seen my I just call it my evolution through the different energies. And I always find it interesting how I've come from working in the stars, basically, because my first part of this rodeo was working with the energies of the different star beings and star seeds, and then eventually made my way right down to earth to work with the elemental dragons. So I didn't just I think I bypassed the cosmic dragons. Well, it's not that I don't work with them, but I think the elemental dragons just pulled me in and said, listen, babe, you need to be here with us and do the work that you need to do. So the whole point of the podcast is that I will be sharing stories from my work with the dragons, my visions, and how I see things. And I would love to just take you on this journey of unfolding, and there might be some interesting things for you to learn through my sharing here. So as a human design 3-5 manifester, things are constantly changing, and I love to experience life and share that. Being an eternal storyteller is a thing. Right, so what we're going to do today is I'm just going to get us in the space. So I'm going to open the space just with a connection with the dragons, and then I will share my story with you guys as to how the earth dragon really helped me this week to facilitate the final return, the last little bit that I needed to see of the dragon priestess coming back. Right, so I'm going to ask you just to take a moment, just to close your eyes, and if you're driving, just listen to me, or if you're busy running or whatever you might be doing listening to this. But I'm just going to take a moment just to open the circle here and just invite the energies of my beautiful guides, my dragon guides, into this space. Okay. Right. So as I start by calling in the energy of my beautiful water dragon situated in the south, and pulling that energy into the sacred circle, pulling that energy into the space. And as we pull that energy and we start to circulate, create a beautiful vortex of energy that will be holding us as we journey through the teachings today. As I turn to the east, Matarahia, and I pull in the energy of the fire dragon, Matarahiande, and putting that into this beautiful vortex here. As I turn to the north, and I pull in the energy of my gorgeous earth dragon, Darashianda Sahioko. And as I make that energy, Gurutuana Tata, mix it in, and Tutuala. And as I turn to the west, to the beautiful dragon of air, Tiatarahinda Hiake, and pulling that energy right into the circle. And Tutuatatahi, and as we drop right down into the center of the planet, connecting with the golden mother dragon, the source dragon. And as we take that energy and we pull it right up into the circle, and as I create a beautiful dome of protection around us, as we sit together here around the energy, the flame, the fire, Tarasundo Asakiake of the dragon energies. Terena Ikuro Asalasiase. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, beautiful. Right. So I think it's really important for me to open the space in these podcasts, in these sharings, because a lot of the information that comes through is channeled, and even if it's not a conscious activation, it is still an activation when you step into this space with me. There will be things that drop, stuff that you remember. They, like, think of it like little locks being turned for you. Okay, so one of the things that the dragons showed us during the course, and when I started this training, was about the fact that there are the codes. The codes of source is basically the codes that all of us have within us. And within us, very often, some of the codes are waiting to be switched on. Okay, so our interaction with certain people, so if you come into my space and there's codes for you that needs to be switched on, they will be switched on. If I go into a space and I meet someone, they might have something that switches codes on in me. So there's a constant interaction. You know, just being in a room with a person, walking past someone, a smile, a moment can also like unlock and switch on those codes within you. And so part of the process of being here on this planet is basically to get more and more and more codes switched on within yourself, because that is part of you remembering who you are. And the job of the dragons is to take us back into the remembering of who we actually are. Okay, so the part of you and your soul that wants to show up right now, that is what the dragons are doing. Okay, that is what they are sharing with us. And so that's why I just love speaking about them and sharing and just bringing this information through for you. Okay, so I'm going to tell you a little bit about what happened last week, and that will all start to make sense as I speak a bit more about the experiences and energies that I went through. Okay, so last week, Tuesday, um, in the dragon course, we had a session with the earth dragon. So we've basically in the course been going through every single elemental energy and then been journeying for 2 weeks with every single element. So it's been really beautiful. And on Tuesday it was time for the dragons of the earth to come through and chat to us. And so my beautiful earth dragon, who is very much linked to, she came to me while I was in England when I moved here, shortly after I moved here. She's a beautiful black energy. She holds the energy of the divine feminine, of the real land energies here of the UK, and part of her role in my teachings and my work and what I do is really to help people to remember their roles as priestesses and guardians of the land, okay, like grid workers and all of that. And she was literally the one that got me into starting to teach about ley lines and sacred sites and all of that good stuff, right? After after her basically asking me to to dedicate part of my work to working with the land, which is awesome, and I absolutely love that. Okay, so on Tuesday she took us on a journey during our activation. So it's teachings and then activations. And in this activation was really beautiful. She took us to a stone circle on Dartmoor, and she basically showed me how she is connecting the Earth Star with the third eye. And part of what was happening was that she was opening up the pathway within each and every one of us, including myself at that point in time, to be able to see deeper into the earth, to be able to understand and use this chakra as a detection mechanism for finding information from the land. Okay, so very much part of the work of working with the grids and listening to the earth is about getting quiet. It's about listening. It's about like observing. It's not about like just going and doing stuff and sending energy and receiving energy and all that, but a lot of this is about listening. Okay, it's about observation. It is about detecting and seeing what is happening. And so I was very grateful, and I was like, okay, thank you. I mean, I've been doing this for a while, but I'm always going to be really happy to see deeper and to be able to share more about what she wants to teach us. And so that was absolutely beautiful. And then on Wednesday, I went for a body work session with my beautiful friend Laura, who does these incredible activations of like, they literally like gateways, portals within your body. And so like basically opening it up and allowing you to access information that is stored in your body, which is just fucking mind-blowing. This woman is incredible and she does beautiful work. And so I went for a session with her that I booked weeks ago because I was like, I need to go once my son's finished his GCSEs, which he did on Monday, because I'm obviously going to need to just get rid of some energy and like, pent up whatever stuff, emotions, and because it's very stressful. He's been studying since last year. It's a big thing. And so I thought, okay, I'll book this because on Thursday we're going to Morocco. And which I'll tell you a little bit more about now in a sec. But basically, this session with Laura was really interesting because I said to her, we need to work on my spine. We need to look, because it feels like I have energy running up and down my spine, always when I work with the earth, when I'm doing my grid work, all of that. But there's something, there's like a little block. So if you are working with the earth and the energies of the earth, you will know that you become like a little rod, right? You are basically a rod between cosmic energies and earth energies, and so it travels up and down your spine. So if shit's not right in your spine and the right things aren't activated or there's no clear channel, it diminishes the flow of the energy. It doesn't mean that there isn't any energy, but it can be much stronger and it can be much more powerful. But there was something off in my back. And so as she started going through all of it, I started seeing these visions of part of my back being damaged deliberately. And so I could see myself being like hunted and hurt and stopped the energy flow going up my back. So it was basically like a scene of me being violated by these men, and then things in my back broke. Okay, so and so as we worked through it, it was interesting because like I knew about it, but I didn't feel overly emotional because I was like, yeah, I understand this. I see what they're doing. And so we worked with the energetics of it and we sorted it out, and that was good. So I could actually feel the energy coming properly back into my spine. So then as we proceeded up my back, I'd been having a lot of problems with my right shoulder, my shoulder blades at the back. And I was just like, but it's coming from like underneath my armpits. So I was just like, I don't know what this is. And so she was like, okay, this is the meat hooks. And I'm like, bloody hell, that sounds like awful. I feel like you should be hung up or something. And she is like, it's literally like when abuse has happened, when like it's very much linked to oppression, suppression, patriarchy, all that type of stuff. And I'm like, of course this is going to be like for me. So we released some of the energy, and I could feel the energy coming back into my body and running down my legs, and it was absolutely amazing. And then as she did the final activation, all of a sudden it was like all the energy in my back just released, and I felt like my wings like were opening up. And I could see also during our session how a part of me was walking back. She was coming back. It was like, because I released the pain in my body and all of that old energies, like there was a part of me walking back, and it was literally like a lost part of my dragon priestess that needed to be witnessed and seen. She started walking back to me, and I'm like, oh my goodness. And I could feel her coming into my body, and as she came into my body, it was literally like woof, like properly grounded into the earth. And I was like I feel like I can fly now. So it was really beautiful. So it's always interesting for me when we are going through these reclamations of self, like how you are constantly pulling back pieces of yourself. You're constantly bringing back pieces of yourself, which is really important because, you know, any journey isn't just whoop, guess what, you're back. It's like you are stitching back all the little pieces of yourself. And that's what it felt like. So I was really happy with the session. I loved it. And I'm like, okay, so this was not what I was expecting, but absolutely perfect. And so I thought, okay, we'll just leave it there and we'll see what happens. And then the next day we flew to Morocco. We flew to Marrakesh, myself and my son. My husband's busy doing some crazy bike ride, 1,800 kilometers to Munich from home, as one does. So Ben and I decided that we wanted to have a bit of a holiday and celebrate his exams finishing and stuff. And it was really interesting because, like, I didn't know where we were going to go, but he loves water parks, I love water parks, and I thought, okay, I'm going to look for a place where we can swim and there's slides and all of that, so we could just go and just play, basically. That was the whole idea. So as I was Googling and searching for holidays, this water park in Marrakesh, of all places, came up. And I had put Marrakesh on my wish list for the year, on my like manifestation list. I was like, I really want to go to Marrakesh. I don't know why, but something is calling me there and I don't know why I need to go. And so this water park came up and I'm like, ooh, okay, well, let's just book that. So I booked us a few days there. We flew on Thursday. And it was interesting. The minute I landed and I got out of the aeroplane into the 35-degree weather, I was like, whew. but I started crying. Like I said to Ben, we are here. And I got really emotional and I was like, what the hell is this about? But I was like, okay, maybe I'm just a little bit overwhelmed. But there was something inside of me that went, no, there's something here for you. There's something here for you. And so we had beautiful weather. We did lots of playing, and it was just absolutely fantastic. So on Saturday, we were going to go to the market, and when I'd gotten there on Thursday, I was like, I always when I visit a different country, I always make sure that I tune into the land, just say I'm here if there's anything that I need to see. It's just like, because I'm a visitor to this place. I'm not from this place. So here I am. Hello. I'm just saying hello. Here's my energy. And just if there's anything that I need or need to do, please let me know. So it's like basically a reciprocal exchange of energy. And for me, that's really important because and I feel this is something we should all be doing, right? And my line of work it is, because I travel a lot and I love traveling. I'm always landing in new places, and it feels like an honor to be able to do that. But also a real important part of grid work is to make sure if you are needed or something from you is needed by the land, that you should be aware of that. Okay, so constant communication with the land is really important. And I was saying this to my friend, I was like, oh, it's just so, like, it feels so quiet here. Like the land feels quiet. The land feels like I can't hear properly. And I was like, this is really weird. But it reminded me of my trip to Turkey in 2023, where it took me ages, like literally like the majority of the trip, to be able to hear the land and speak to the land. And it was like I had to drop deeper and deeper and deeper into the land. And I was like, this felt like that again. And again, arid country, really dry. And I was like, what's going on here? But I thought, you know what? They'll show me what I need to see when I see it. So that's all good. So on Saturday, we went into Marrakesh. I went to the market. It was really beautiful. And as we were driving back in the afternoon on the bus back to the resort where we were staying, I was just like staring out the window. And my son had been telling me, because he'd been to Marrakesh the year before, and they'd done like a big geography trip. So he knew a lot of stuff about there. And he was telling me about the water tables and the issues with farming and how the water tables have dropped because of the way that they farm, and it's not very sustainable. And as I was staring out the window, I all of a sudden just remembered, and I was also like, okay. So 5,500 years ago, this place, Northern Africa, so we're talking Egypt, all of it, right? So all the way from Morocco, all across the top there, where the Sahara Desert and basically desert is at the moment, used to be quite a fertile land. There were rivers and lakes and grasslands and all of that across the north of Africa. It did not look like it looked today. And that's only 5,500 years ago. Okay, that is not a long time. In the scheme of things, 4.5 billion year old Earth, 5,500 years. I mean, it's just like, right, it doesn't even compute. And I was like, oh, this is interesting. And for me, 5,500 years ago is a very important timeline in the progression of humanity. So if you look back at when the shit started going wrong, it was around that time, when this whole patriarchal power over like not respecting people anymore, basically messing with the old ways started, was around then. And I was like, this is interesting. And then my guides went, okay, but you need to just tune into this. And so as I started like looking at it, I had a bit of a moment where I was like, okay, so in England, when I've been working with the stone circles, there's always water underneath a stone circle. So you have like all of the stones, and basically underneath there'll be the grid and the lines that come in and all of that, the earth grid, and also the currents of energy that come in. and then underneath there will be water. Okay. And as we know, like, well, I don't know if you know, but because I love this research, but like a huge, massive amount of water is actually underneath the earth, okay, underneath the ground that we're standing on. Even more water is underneath than above, like what we can see. So a huge amount of water is underneath here. So the water tables, all of that, like it's under your feet. Okay, so much of the water of Earth is under our feet. And so my guides explained to me that the currents and the energies and everything works with the water. So those beautiful currents of energy that I felt, like the ley lines and the grids and all of that, works very much with the water. So when the water table drops, the grid also goes down, okay, because they work in proximity with each other. So the deeper and deeper and deeper the water goes into the earth, the less you can feel the grids. So then I was like, well, in England, I feel like I'm like walking on top of them. And my guides were like, but the water table's so high. Look at what's happening. You literally, there's so much rain, there's so much, and then like you can feel it here. You literally step into space and you're like, shit, man, I can feel the earth. I can literally see the golden energy of like the grid running underneath my feet. And I'm like, oh, okay, that makes so much sense to me, because when I moved here in 2019, it felt so easy to connect with the earth versus like other places that I've been. And I was like, okay, this makes sense to me. So why I'm explaining all of this is it will all make sense soon, just in terms of the priestess journey. Okay, so then I was like, okay, cool, got that one. I see that. And so on Saturday night, when I went to bed, I just asked my guides and I said, well, let me like show me what I need to know, because obviously I'm loving this information about the grids. I can tell people about it. It's really cool. But you need to show me, how does that relate to me? Like, what is it that I need to know about this, right? And so when I then woke up on Sunday morning, and I was like in that in-between trance state where I see things and stuff becomes quite clear to me, I had this realization and this remembering about some past lives that I'd seen, oh man, maybe 2-3 years ago, but it was quite a while back. And I had this, it was quite a traumatic past life where I'd seen myself like going through a desert and basically really like hurt. So I was struggling to walk, and I was basically near death. I couldn't walk properly, but I was on my way to this cave where these serpent women lived. So they were like priestesses that then took me in and basically helped me to heal. And my guide said to me that what I saw in the session with Laura on Wednesday was that. It was that lifetime. Okay, so that energy that was stuck in my body, that was back to that lifetime. And these women had basically helped me to heal, because I remember then being able to walk out of this cave after months and continuing my life. But what I had seen was that the women were being hunted, the priestesses were being hunted. And part of the one of the big priestess cults in North Africa was the cults of the serpent woman. Okay, so the idea of Medusa with the snakes coming out of the hair and everything was very much linked to this tradition of these priestesses who had these masks with snakes coming out of them, carved snakes, and that would mean that the men wouldn't come into the territory where they were having ceremony, doing their work, all of that type of stuff. So because people were scared of them, they could do their work in peace. And so what my guide said to me then is, you have to remember that these women, these priestesses, were looking after the grids of the earth. Okay, so the priestesses for a very, very, very long time are linked to abundance and fertility. Okay, so the priestesses were basically tasked with keeping the balance in the land, making sure that the grids are maintained, making sure that the energy of the earth is looked after so that the earth would deliver her abundance again, so that she would bring that fertility, so that there would be growth, so that there would be harvests, all of that type of stuff, right? That was their job. And so when the disregard for that started 5,500 years ago, when the priestesses were basically hunted to extinction, when their roles were taken away from them, etc., in the lands over there, things started changing and the grid was not maintained properly. It wasn't being held properly. And so things started sinking, going deeper and deeper and deeper. Okay, so that massive disconnection with the land and basically the suppression of the ability of these priestesses to be able to hold that is what facilitated that change in the physical environment under their feet. Okay, so that made a lot of sense to me, because the grids and the water table basically works together. Okay, so, and then again I came back to what's happening here in England, and I was like, oh wow, because we have such a massive, like, it's almost like a, not a revival, but it's like it's a knowing, right? And the people who live here, and the priestesses of Avalon, and like, you know, there's so much work being done by different people who are, even without them knowing, looking after the earth, looking after the grids of this planet, looking after the fertility and the abundance of the land here as well. And it just felt so important that we realize that even if we're not consciously having a label or like seeing ourselves as grid workers, those of us who are in reverence of the land, those of us who are working with the land, sending love, all of that type of stuff, we are making a difference in maintaining the grids of this land, of this little island that we're living on that's called the UK. Okay, and so when we look at the earth as well, there's so many people now like really getting back into that space of trying to remember their connection to nature. Okay, we've obviously got, like, we've gone so far beyond that. There's people now desperately trying to go, okay, no, we need to listen. We need to connect with the earth. We need to like respect her again. We need to take our direction from nature again. And I thought it was really interesting because part of my retreat that I ran last year was, you know, when my guide said to me, you have to remember, Yolandi, those codes that you are giving the people on this retreat, they will take it back to those lands. Those priestess codes, that like divine feminine fertility codes will go back to Australia, to South Africa, to Canada and America, and everywhere that these people were. Those codes will go back, and then people will be revitalizing their connection with the earth, and the things that they do and how they live will affect the grids. And so this also made me think about what's happening at present with all the wars happening and just the immense shit show that is like our world at the moment, where so much of what we could be doing is really linked to us putting that divine love codes, those energies back into the earth, right? Like part of our work is to really to connect with the grids and to ensure that we are sending as much light and as much energy into those grids. So as that energetic transfer happens, right? I mean, the grids aren't separate. The whole globe is basically connected. So if I'm sending energy here to places like Israel and Iran and Pakistan and Palestine and Iran and Iraq and like all of it, right? Like all the shit shows that's happening at the moment in those areas, if I am sending my energy to those places, people walk on the earth grids all the time. Okay, they walk on the earth grids. So the intentions that I'm sending for peace, the intentions that I'm sending for people to step back into their hearts, that can ripple. Okay, the minute that they step back onto Mother Earth, they can feel that. Okay, there's magic in the energy that we hold as a collective. Okay, and when we are intentional about utilizing the energetics that's available to us, it is phenomenal what we can do. So it is really important to understand that this is part of this rising, okay? This rising and this remembering of what we are putting into the grid and how we can maintain it. And if we are stopped from connecting with the earth and working with her, how there will be barren lands, okay? But the more we step back into reclaiming that energy, into intentionally working with that energy, remembering that we are the ones who facilitate the growth and the fertility, and we basically have that ability within us to co-create with Mother Nature and to work with her for the betterment, for the abundance, for the of everyone, not just ourselves. Okay, this is a collective, this is a community, this is a unity expression that we get to be part of. So really part of this work is to give a bit of you back. Okay, so you have the ability in your way to also contribute to the upliftment energetically of this planet. And this is a really important aspect that I think we kind of miss out on. Okay, so, as people always say, like, send your prayers. Well, I'm saying send your energy into the earth, send your energy into the grids, because when they walk on it, those people who are needing their hearts to be softened and to be able to hear the others around them and to be able to feel the others around them and to be able to step back into that place of going, these are my brothers, my sisters, my people, that can make a difference. Okay, because the earth is powerful and she can help us to change things around for the better as well. Okay, so basically for me, this entire experience in Morocco has shown me that that we are all here holding a part of the grids on this planet. It has shown me how that piece of myself came back, how I was basically able to take back that piece of me that was harmed and hurt in that lifetime. And she was able to step out of that cave again. She was nurtured by the community of other priestesses who helped her to heal, and to become whole again. Okay, and so part of this work is also the dragons are constantly reminding us that you are not an island. You are doing this work in a community. You are able to connect with people who can hold you and help you to move back into a space of becoming you again. So this doesn't have to just be a you journey. This can be an us journey, right? This can be a we journey. So, and I think that's really important, because the aim of the game is to remember that we're all connected. Remember that you and I and every single human and planet bit is connected, right? Us and Mother Gaia, we are connected. The animals and us are connected. The plants and us are connected. The insects and us are connected. The water and us are connected. All of the elements in us are connected. And so when you really start seeing it all as a beautiful ecosystem that works together, we can really start to change. But it is up to us to start to spread the message. And it is up to us to actually take back those parts of us that needs to be seen, those parts of us that needs to speak up, those parts of us that needs to share and to teach and to do whatever they need to do. And that is really part of this work. Okay, so after all of that, so let me just see. I think that's everything that I wanted to share. Yeah. Okay, beautiful. So what I'm going to do now is I am just going to do a little activation for you, just to make all of this land, to see where it lands within you, because there might be pieces and parts here that you felt and heard and gone, oh my goodness, okay, this makes sense to me. Yes, I feel that. And I'm really grateful for the beautiful country that I got to visit this past few days. That really showed me a piece of myself again. And and showed me how she survived and how strong she was, and how working together could also make her step back out and go and do what she needed to do. Okay. And I just feel like we shouldn't we shouldn't discard the power of community. We shouldn't discard the power of the earth energies to help us to weave it all back together, because there are fractures within the grids, but we are busy weaving that together as those grid keepers, as those grid workers. Even if you're not sure what you're doing, trust yourself. Okay, trust yourself in what you're feeling, trust yourself in what you are seeing, and allow yourself. Your heart is an infinite, like, well of divine love. Like, here inside of you is literally so much energy that you get to share with the earth. Okay, and that's our jobs. So yeah, so it's beautiful. Okay, so let's just take a little moment now just to close the circle and finish off with this small activation for you. So just feel yourself as you're sitting right now. And again, if you're driving or busy, pause this and come and listen to it again, and then close off the circle with me. So when you're in a space where you can just receive the energies. So I want you to, in this beautiful circle that we are in together, where we have sat around the fire of the story, feel yourself really connecting to the ground, to the chair that you're sitting on, even if it's on the bed, wherever you are. But I want you to really just feel your sitting bones on the earth, on the surface that it's on. And as we now call upon that energy, the beautiful earth dragon, to come through our root, all the way into our bodies, up our spines right now, and then literally hook itself into the center of our brain, into those pineal glands that we have, the gland that's right in the center of our head. Rekinda urukula injamate. And as we allow that beautiful vision, that beautiful energy, Kurodona tahi, the feelings, the visions, the knowings that the earth has to share with you, as we allow that to activate within us. Kurono ala shema sekunwa ta ila iate harashenda seake. Feeling that stream of energy settling. Everything inside of you that needs to know, that needs to be connected with this Kurunua Tahe in whatever way it is for you. And it will be different for every single one of us. This is so unique, depending on what your soul is wanting to create. But this knowing, this unity knowing, Kurunua la ishanase, this listening deeper to the land, Kurunua ta iake, nilishanase oko. And just feel yourself really settling into this. Mikono oroko alabate ke chenama erosonua sikiava seleshane sekuta yakarama ichonatoroa takila e shana ekeren ungoro toto undama e shena seke. Leshana sekereshiase. Beautiful. Okay. Fantastic. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Ishana seke. Okay, so as I thank all of my beautiful dragons for being with us today, for holding the space for us. So as I close the circle now, Mesanase, Kuhaish, Kurandaki, Ambalashena, Sekuro, Sekina, Sekiana. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, beautiful. Right. So I hope you enjoyed today's episode. I will be back with some more things to share about my journey and my discoveries and just whatever the dragons want to share with you guys as well. So yeah, watch out for some new episodes. They will drop when they drop, so there's no schedule here. I will allow myself to be guided, and yeah, just watch out for them and enjoy this. And if you did enjoy this, feel free to share it with some other people or leave me a comment or reviews or whatever. I'd be really grateful. So thank you so much. Have an absolutely beautiful day. And this is Yolandi, your dragon priestess, signing off for today. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Seeking you'll find
Ushiaran Rishoko, Ariabase, La Shiamrasa.